Hello and welcome to another edition of Max TV Magazine. I'm your host, Brad Grass, and hey, today's a fun one. Today, it's all about the Sasquatch. Oh yes, you heard me right. Also known as Bigfoot, that mysterious mythological simian creature that is said to inhabit the Pacific Northwest. But today we ask the question, is it mythological? You'd be surprised. Hundreds and hundreds of sightings from Washington State all through British Columbia, but believe it or not, many sightings right here in Saskatchewan. Now, I know what you're thinking. How can he hide in the prairies? Well, as you're about to find out, there's a few hiding spots even in Craven, Saskatchewan.
So I was on a road very near here in Craven, Saskatchewan in 2014, where a guy with his family on a Sunday afternoon, just driving down a rural road we have thousands of them in Saskatchewan, more than any other province, that he believes that he saw a Sasquatch or a Bigfoot on the side of the road and then took his footage and uploaded it for the world to see. Now, I've seen the footage myself, and it's very interesting. There are certain things that, from like an expert's perspective, that you can point out as being normal characteristics of a Sasquatch in the wild, including like the hairy shoulders. It's obviously a large animal of some kind. What makes it interesting to me is the way that it moves and the way that it gaits and the time that it extended the arm in the footage. The things that would be a little bit oddball to me are like the shape of the head and the shoulders. Most experts believe that the Sasquatch doesn't have a coned head, that it has more of an elongated head, more like a gorilla or an ape would. It's a very interesting video. I mean, if you look at some things that people are trying to fake, and if I were to fake a Bigfoot video, what are the things that I would do to try to convince the world that this is authentic footage? And this sort of doesn't really fall into that trap. Like it's muddy, it's blurry, it's obviously done with a cell phone, like that kind of a thing. And it's possible. I mean, like you take a look at the vast expanse of Saskatchewan and the landscape and the diversity of the landscape, that anything is possible, really. So when I was 11 years old, my family and I moved to Buckinghorse River Lodge in northern British Columbia, which is on mile 175 of the Alaskan Highway. And it's God's country up there. There's a lot of trees. You're in the thick of it. You're in the bush when you're up there. And we lived in a log cabin, and we ran the motel and restaurant and gas station that you would attribute on the side of the road when traveling on the Alaskan Highway. One day, I was in my living room, and in our living room in our cabin we had an enormous picture window that looked out into the tree line, and beyond that tree line is 1,000 miles of wilderness, and we have everything from moose, bears, deer, all kinds of wildlife walking through that area all the time. So it's not uncommon to look out that window and see large wild creatures, wild animals. It's just part of living in the north. So I was making myself lunch, and I was going to come into the living room and watch a movie, and I remember holding the plate in my hand, looking out the picture window, and that is when I locked eyes with what I believe to be a female Sasquatch. So she was standing just inside the tree line, and I believe that she stood just shy of about 6 feet tall, so I'd say about 5'8", 5'10", and had light brown fur everywhere except for her face. And I'm not sure if she was staring at me or she was just staring at her own reflection in the picture window. Again, it's what feels like an eternity is only like a few seconds. It's only less than a minute. And so the way that I sort of say it is that we sort of stared at each other. She stared at me through the window, I stared at her, and then as quickly as it happened, she just turned around and bolted back into the trees. And I always sort of say, did I see a Bigfoot that day? Did I see a Sasquatch? Or, was I 11 years old, 10, 11 years old, and just, does your imagination play tricks on you? Does your memory play tricks on you? And I say that both are about as as viable an option as you can get. I believe that I think I know what I saw, and that's as far as I can take it.